Happy Tuesday night. Welcome back to the Wolff Den presented by Win Again Academy. Mark Moyer doing some great things with his networking events. There's another networking event tomorrow afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern. Check out all my socials or Win Again Academy. Excited for our guest tonight. We have a special nighttime guest, which is probably appropriate considering what we're going to talk about. But excited to have Lauren Carey here. Welcome to the Wolff Den.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Tell everybody who you are and why you're here, and then let's talk about two things I'm a big fan of.
Okay, well, like you said, I'm Lauren Carey, and I am one of the hosts of the Beard Owl podcast. It's a podcast that my brother and I started mid-year 2020, so it was a pandemic baby. We did it as a way to stay in touch with each other because we knew we weren't going to see each other in person for a while because I'm in Florida, he's in Pennsylvania, and we just decided to talk about the two things that we love the most. And it's turned into something absolutely insane. I never thought that people, number one, would listen to it, and number two, would love it as much as they do.
So if it's not obvious to everyone, your podcast is about beer.
Oh, beer and
Weird
Weird
Al
Al.
Yankovic.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry. I have lived this in this Weird Al space for so long that I forget that it's not like apparent to everybody all the time. But yes, Weird Al and beer.
Well, let's talk about. We're going to talk about all of it. We're going to talk about podcasting. We're talking about Weird Al. We're going to talk about beer. Can I assume that Weird Al came before beer for you?
Yes, Weird Al came before beer for me. Weird Al did not come before beer in the overall history of time,
Yeah.
but for me personally, yes, Weird Al definitely came before beer. The About Us page on our website says, we've been Weird Al fans since we were kids, and then we've been beer fans since we were kids. No, just kidding. We've been, yeah, it kind of stemmed from like Weird Al was the thing that we loved and kind of kept us together as kids, and that we always had in common, no matter where our other many and varied interests would veer off to. And then as we became adults and could drink craft beer, we realized, oh man, we have this other thing that we have in common 100% of the time, is that we love craft beer. So why not mash them together? Like, who put peanut butter in my chocolate? Who put
Yeah.
chocolate in my peanut butter? Who put beer in
Yeah.
my Weird Al?
They go together like what was it, tuna fish and lamb? Was that the one from Big Daddy?
Yeah. Ew.
Wasn't that Rob Schneider and Big Daddy, Tuna Fish and Lamb?
Tuna fish and lamb. Yeah, I believe that's what that
spaghetti
was.
and meatball. I'm a big fan of Weird Al, and the first thing I'll say is, and I've asked this of people before, if I said who is not in the Hall of Fame, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, who belongs there, for me, the number one answer is Weird Al. Now, there's a lot of people who are probably not in there that I don't know about. I don't follow it that closely, but it's it's shocking to me that Weird Al Yankovic is not in the Rock and Roll Music Hall of Fame. Why do you think that is? We had our Matt Kelly, who's a one-hit thunder. He has a one-hit thunder podcast, very big into music. Seems to think he might go in after he leaves us, which would be very unfortunate, by the way, because I got to imagine him performing or his speech at something like that would be outrageous, outrageously entertaining. But why do you think that is?
That's a really good question. And actually, hold on. I'm going to start the show and tell right now, because my friend and the preeminent Weird Al historian of our day, Mr. Nathan Rabin, has created a coloring book called The Weird A Coloring to Al, which you can get on nathanrabin.com. And I've tweeted about it a whole bunch of times, so you can find it there. But he basically based this book off of being like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame of Al. Okay. Yeah. And he has written, you think I'm obsessed with Weird Al? This man has written books with and about him. It's crazy, but he's written fairly extensively on the notion that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame doesn't deserve Weird Al, because one of the main one of the main tenets really of rock and roll music is that rock artists tend to take themselves really seriously. Like, this is my art, this is my passion, I'm a songwriter, like, I'm this is who I am and this is what I do. And Weird Al doesn't take himself seriously. Weird Al just kind of, he takes his craft seriously and what he does seriously, but he doesn't take himself seriously. And the difference between Weird Al and kind of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as it is now is there's a stark contrast in an air of self-importance. Weird Al knows what he's about and he knows who he is, but he doesn't feel self-important. Whereas the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as an institution, I've toured it a whole bunch of times and things like that. And it's great. It's cool. It's a whole lot of fun. And I love, watching the induction ceremony and all that. But I just think it's almost too, for rock and roll. I don't even like calling rock and roll stuffy, but I feel like it's almost too stuffy an organization to really accept him and understand what he is and what he means in the way that he deserves to be understood.
Yeah, it's incredible. Just the amount. If you ever seen Weird Al, which I know you have, I'm talking to the rest of the people here. If you've ever seen Weird Al live, a performance of his, it's almost it's such an entertaining show because when he's doing all of his changes, he's got these videos that he does that it's just all funny videos that he's done and all pop culture references. And it's a show. I mean, there's not a lot of people out there who can run these videos of all the pop culture references that are about him. Half of them are making fun of him, and all. But it's really, I want more. It's almost like I want more of that. And like, all right, yeah, you can sing your song. That's fine.
Yeah, he definitely, a Weird Al concert is not a concert. It's exactly what you said. It's a show. There is not 1 second of downtime. Once the opening track of Fun Zone, which is the da 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 that plays before he comes on stage, once that opening track starts, you are in for a non-stop assault of an assault in a good way,
Yeah.
assault of the senses. You're gonna laugh, you're going to be impressed by the musicianship of his band, and you're not going to be bored for a second. Okay. And you can't say that about most concerts.
Yeah.
I've been to some great shows, but there's not one that has had me, other than Weird Al, that has had me captivated for a solid hour and a half, where I don't want to find that one song like where I need to go to the bathroom just because I need a break from it, right? I run if I have to pee during a Weird Al concert. Like I run because I don't want to miss anything. Yeah, it's an amazing, amazing, amazing show, and I've seen him 10 times.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
He doesn't come around that much. I mean, I know I missed him a few times when he was here, and then I try and go, and he plays indoors. I'm an outdoor concert kind of guy. Obviously, Weird Al is not for an outdoor concert, although I'd love to see him outdoors. But I think it's a much better show, a smaller, intimate, dark
Yeah.
with the lights. I'd see him if he goes outside. I just don't know that he's done much outdoor concerts, has
Yeah,
he?
I'm trying to think of all the times that I've seen him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Half of them have been outside.
Really?
Yep.
Like what kind of environment?
Like a mid-size amphitheater.
Okay. You have to be able to see the screen, by the way, because I
Yeah.
was at the Jonas Brothers the other night outdoors, and there was one big screen in the middle, but I always sit on the side and have a clear view, so I would have missed a lot of this stuff if I was seeing Weird Al there. But I don't know if they'd be able to sell enough people to go on the lawn. I don't know.
Well,
Interesting.
you'd be
Yeah,
surprised. He on his last tour, the Strings Attached tour that he did with a full orchestra,
yeah,
which was a mind-blowing experience. Like, you think a Weird Al show is big, like, you see a Weird Al show with a full orchestra, that's huge, right? He actually, I think he hit Red Rocks on that tour.
yeah. That would be awesome. I've never
So,
been to Red Rocks, but
me either.
I was trying to think of the people I'd love to see. I mean, he'd be at the top of the list of
Uh-huh.
people I would go and see at Red Rocks. I like Weird Al, but I got to tell you, I have him on my phone, my Amazon Music, and 9 out of 10 times I listen to Weird Al, it's a polka. I love his polkas, and I need more. I can't find enough of them because I'm like, didn't I hear this one already? But for me, I love the polkas more than I think I like his other stuff, and I don't know why that is because he's got some great songs and some tunes that I really like also.
Yeah, we did on our show, in March, we did a what we called our March weirdness bracket, where we actually did a bracket competition of all of the Weird Al polkas. And one of the guests that we had on for what we called our WAP bracket, WAP stands for Weird Al polka, not what Cardi B thinks WAP
Yeah.
stands for. Um, but in that bracket, talking about all the Weird Al polkas, one of the guests we had on the show basically said that polkas are nothing but unbridled joy, right? You can't, and that's part Weird Al, and that's part that style of music. That's just like polka. Have you ever heard a sad polka? No. So that could be why you're drawn to the polkas. And another reason could be like the familiarity of the songs in the polka,
I don't know if
right?
Frank's talking about me or you. We need another beer. I think she's doing fine. We're going to talk about beer in a second. He's jumping the Weird Al stuff.
It's
We'll get to the beer.
it's full, and this is not a weak beer, by the way. So
I got a lot I'm drinking. Serenity Now right now, which we're going to talk about.
okay,
So continue the polka, but I also love a medley.
yeah,
I also like a good medley, and so Bare Naked Ladies, another one of the bands that I really like, very entertaining. I love when they do a medley at the end,
yeah,
where they're singing other people's songs, and it's just they kind of make it their own, and they make it fun, and you're
hmm
like, yeah, it's pretty awesome.
yeah. The polkas are great. The polkas really are great, and I'm gonna say this now to the world. Um, I heard the Hamilton polka. Weird Al did the Hamilton polka medley. I heard that before I saw Hamilton. I didn't see Hamilton in person. I tried watching it on Disney Plus, and I got a good part of the way through it, but it was not my thing. But the Hamilton polka is like my favorite Weird Al polka, even
I
though
like the
I'm not
Hamilton
a
polka.
Hamilton fan.
I do like the Hamilton soundtrack, though. I listened to
Yeah.
a bunch of the songs on that now, but I feel like he doesn't do like. There's not a ton of polkas. I was looking on what my options were, and I think I only have like 8 or 10 of them.
There's 12 that are on
Okay.
albums. So you can the polka's on 45. I'm not going to even try to do this
Yeah, you don't
because
have
I'll
to
screw
name
it
them.
up again. So
I'll send you what I have,
yeah,
and you'll tell me what I don't have.
I'll fill in the gaps. Yeah.
Yeah. The So I love some of his other stuff, and he's it's amazing how, first of all, he's a very talented singer. People give it's very underrated singer. It's not that easy to just go on and belt out these tunes. I don't care what you're trying to sound like.
hmm
So very talented singer, but then also to be able to craft these songs that are just so creative. It's not that easy to do that either. I mean, you can try. I don't even know if you have. I guess that's another question. But have you ever tried to write sort of a Weird Al song from another song?
Yes, I have. Um, I wrote an entire set of parody lyrics to "Careless Whisper" by
Okay.
Wham.
Yeah.
About leggings, and it goes, "I'm never wearing pants again because I don't feel
Mhm.
good when I'm—" Yeah.
That's
So
pretty good.
I've got a whole set of lyrics to that. Um, so that was kind of fun, but I just like coming off with like one-liners here and there. A buddy of mine, Russ from the Infectious Groove podcast, tweeted earlier today about Adele and how she's got that new album coming out, and he posted on Twitter about how he had Chasing Pavements from her first album kind of stuck in his head. And I didn't even think about it. I just commented on it and I said, "Bill Collector parody. Should I give up or should I just keep taking payments?"
Pretty good.
And,
It's not
it's
easy to do. I
no.
do try and think of these songs like, hey, I could write a Weird Al song. My friend and I back in the day,
Mhm.
we created our own Garbage Pail Kids, and we were
Oh, yeah.
like a whole series, and we were gonna send it off, and we kind of had a pretty good prototype for it, and I don't even remember what happened with it, but we never. But it's really to have that kind of creative mind to write songs because nowadays, the average person who you go and listen to all day, every day, is not writing the song that they're singing, right?
Right. Right.
So, and people don't realize that. Like these top pop hits are written by other people. They're not written by I mean, I
Yeah, and
guess some of them do.
nah, some of them do, but most of the top pop hits are written by like there's a big studio in Sweden. Like they're mostly Swedish
Yeah.
writing all these pop American hits, which is like Okay.
What if you had to do a podcast about music and it wasn't Weird Al? Who do you like? Who else would you possibly talk
Uh,
about?
Stevie Nicks.
Stevie Nicks. That's not a
Stevie
bad
Nicks.
choice.
I love her so much. I actually have a German Shepherd named Belladonna after Stevie Nicks' first
Okay.
album. So yeah, Stevie's great. So that's, I mean, those are like two completely, you can't get one more far apart than Weird Al and Stevie Nicks, right? Stevie Nicks takes herself super seriously. She's not super silly and she's very deep. And I'm not saying Weird Al's not deep, but he doesn't take himself seriously. So I have like I guess it's a good yin and yang sort of balance of what I like. So
Who's a bigger Weird Al fan, you or your brother?
me, and John will openly admit that. Uh
Okay.
he's he put it this way. He's a fan, I'm a fanatic.
Right. Yeah,
And that's okay.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. It's tough being a fanatic of anything.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's draining physically, mentally, financially. I mean, there's a lot to it. And I'm not a fanatic about only one thing. I'm a fanatic about a ton of things, which is why I got a boatload of stuff here. Um, you know, I have something I'm going to show you because I see what you got back there, and I've shown this a little bit, but I am this is probably if I was going to do a podcast, I would do it on this.
Oh, Seinfeld?
So I
And
have some of the unique Seinfeld Funkos. They have other
oh
ones, but for
wow.
me are the boring kind. But I see you got a Weird Al Funko back there. What's your
Yeah.
favorite? What's your favorite Weird Al memorabilia, collectible, souvenir?
Um oh, that's tough. I don't have my favorite with me at the moment. It's what I got in this box. It's a it was a watch, okay? And it
Okay.
was from the VIP experience on the ridiculously self-indulgent ill-advised vanity tour. It was the kind of the prize that went with that. And it's the I don't need to wear a watch. Like what am I doing? I know what time
Yeah.
it is. I'm looking at a computer. But it's Weird Al, and his legs are the hands of the watch. So
Oh,
like he's like, it's so funny.
very good.
And I had to get a new battery put in it a little while ago, and I didn't want to take it to like a big box jewelry store to have a battery put in because it was one of those where you need like the tool to get the, and I wasn't about to mess with it and ruin this watch, right? But I also didn't want to have a moment where I walked into like a K Jewelers and said, "Hey, can you put a battery in my Weird Al watch, please?" you know.
You get
So
fun.
I know I found like
Where
a
do you live in
little
Florida, by the way?
Jacksonville.
Oh, okay. I'll be up there next weekend for the big game.
Duval. um,
They're all excited about their win against the stinky Dolphins.
no, yeah, in London. Like they couldn't even do it here.
Well, that's their home, really. That's their home, London.
I know. I mean, they should just go there. I'm not even a Jaguars fan. Like that's not my football team anyway. I just live here. Um, but anyway, I found this mom and pop watch like jewelry repair shop to get the battery replaced in this Weird Al watch. And it was a dad and his son, and the son had to be like 14 years old. And so I come in with the Weird Al watch, and I see the dad's face kind of light up when I come in with his watch, and he's like, "Is this a Weird Al watch?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And you know they have those little envelopes that they put your
Yeah,
jewelry
yeah.
in when you go get them repaired. So he took my name and my phone number, and he actually wrote Weird Al watch on the envelope, and he put it in. He goes, "Yeah, it'll be about 20 minutes for the battery." So I was like, "Okay, cool." So I went to the grocery store and I came back, went in to pick up my watch, and the the dad goes, "Thank you for bringing this in. We had so much fun moving his legs around while
Oh,
you were
yeah.
gone and putting him in funny positions." And I'll tell you what, like I can tell time on it, but every time I look at that watch, I laugh because he's either doing the splits or the can or both legs are up in the air, and it's like I just crack up every time I look at it.
Is it'd be funny like if you're at a mall and then the loudspeaker say who brought in the Weird Al Yankovic watch to be fixed, like over the loudspeaker, be like, yeah, that was me.
I wouldn't even be ashamed of it.
No, no, of
And
course you gotta embrace
you
it.
know,
When you do a podcast on Weird Al, I'm guessing
right.
nothing really embarrasses you about your
Not
fanhood
anymore.
with Weird Al.
Not anymore. But when I have loved Weird Al since, you know, 11, 12 years old. And at the time, my brother and I, we were in band and we were not the coolest kids, which, you're Weird Al fans. Like, what do you expect? So, like, I had my Weird Al concert t-shirts and stuff, but I wouldn't wear them to school
Uh,
or anything like that because it was just one more thing that was going to stack up on the, you know, uh, stack up against me, like, as far as, being picked on or things like that. But, then I got to college and then I realized, like, everybody has that thing. Everybody has that thing. You can make fun of something with anybody, but you might as well just own who you are and just kind of, let your freak flag fly, like whatever that freak flag happens to be.
hmm,
And now I don't know if you've seen on Twitter, but as of today, I am at day 292 of wearing a Weird Al shirt in a row.
alright.
Yeah, yeah. So I post them on Twitter every day. I'm just trying to. I got to, like, I don't know, the 4th or 5th day of 2021, and I realized I'd worn a Weird Al shirt every day. I didn't do it on purpose, and I was like, how
Yeah,
far can I go with
that's what
this?
you keep doing.
And
It starts very innocently.
yeah,
You're like,
and
"Oh,
that's
yeah, let's see how long."
what happened. I got 2 weeks in before I had to repeat a shirt because I'd seen him in concert 10 times and I'd bought some other stuff. And remember, when I was a kid, having seen Weird Al, I got the shirt, but I didn't really wear it much. So they were in pretty good shape for
Yeah.
being, 20, 22 years old. And then I started buying some on eBay and Etsy and, other stores or so then once I got into a role doing it, people started sending me Weird Al shirts. Like, I got
Really?
this when I
I'd love
saw him
to.
in concert, but it doesn't fit me anymore. And I was like, oh, good. Well, I'm a small woman. So, like, I don't care if you send me a double XL. I can make it cute, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And so people started sending me shirts. I think I have like 50 now. Uh
Oh, so is the rule that you just have to wear it for a certain amount of time? Because there's just circumstances where I would have to wear I wouldn't be able to wear it maybe that day, so I don't know. What's the rule for you on that?
I made it like I have to wear it for some part of the day. And I document it on Twitter. So I take the picture.
Yeah,
Um, I don't have a rule that I necessarily have to go out of the house in it because some days I just don't go out of the house.
yeah,
Um, but I've been documenting it. So I have put one on every single day. And most days I'm either going out or having work meetings on, Zoom or whatever, and people see it. Uh, I just started a relatively new role at my company, and so most of the people on my team I've never met in person, and so that I'm just sitting here in, like, a Weird Al Yankovic shirt, and they go, "Is that Weird Al?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, you'll get used to it. Let's just
yeah.
move on."
So I could probably do that with gator shirts. I have enough. I wouldn't have to do a whole lot of laundries anyway, which is
Yeah.
way too many. And some people might tell you that I actually do every time they do see me. I'm wearing a gator shirt, or if not orange and blue, my company's orange and blue because of the gators. So
Oh, there
that's
you go.
tough, but it's pretty impressive. What I mean, when are you going to stop?
Probably the end of the year. And I'll probably wear them most of the time, but I'm not gonna stress myself out about it at
Right.
that point. Um, because 'cause I've had to develop a rather unique, laundry sorting situation.
Yeah.
I basically have, like, a Weird Al pile and a non-Weird Al pile.
That's normal.
It Right. Exactly, and, like, I'll tell you what, like, I I can't even I'm not embarrassed about it, like, it's just I'm having fun and it makes me smile, and I've had people on Twitter say, like, "I look forward to your Weird Al shirt of the day picture every single day," because I'm like, "I wonder what she's gonna say or what, like, funny little phrase she's gonna put with it or this, that, and the other." So, I've brought joy to some people just by accidentally stumbling into doing this stupid thing, which I think is a very Weird Al thing to do
Yeah.
because he just kinda did what he wanted to do, and I think if you asked Weird Al when he recorded My Bologna from, the bathroom at his college, if he was gonna be bringing this much joy to this many people, he probably would have said, like, "No, like, there's no way that's gonna happen," right? Like, I'm sure it was some kind of an accident, but it's amazing. And if, me talking about Weird Al gets, I don't even, do I like getting listeners to my show? Absolutely. Um, but really, I want people who may have written Weird Al off at one point or another just to give his music a chance and kind of give him a chance, because his music is great. But Weird Al as a person is probably the best role model that you could possibly have, because he's always so kind, right? He asks for permission to do these song parodies, even though he legally doesn't have to.
Right.
He takes other people's feelings into consideration, and he's just true to himself. And he relies on, like, his intelligence and his empathy and his kindness and his humor, just to get by. And it's like, if you don't like what this is, there are millions of other people that do. So it is what it is. And he's taught me, like, self-acceptance in a way that I never thought, like, that I would have, because humans, we're all inherently self-conscious people. Like, everybody's like, "Oh, I wonder what they're thinking when they look at me," or like, "Oh, do they not like me?" or this, that, and the other. Well, Weird Al gave himself the name Weird Al, and I think we all just kind of have to own whatever it is that we are and do it. So that
Yeah.
thank you for coming to my Al talk.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I think it's, I couldn't tell you how many people listen to this. Not why I do it. I want, people to be able to talk about what is important to them and what they're passionate about, and just give someone a different platform to introduce them to my people and my connections to maybe, in your case, there'll be someone who does like Weird Al is like, I'd love to listen to this, or someone who likes beer. And we're going to talk about beer in a minute here.
So wait, you mean I'm not going to get like a million more
You
subscribers from
might,
doing this? So
you
then what am I?
might.
No, I mean,
You could, because like we'll tag Weird Al, and then everyone who's connected to him could possibly see it. You just never know what's going to happen.
you
But
never know.
you
You
never.
never
I'm not
know.
going to say it's not going to happen. I can't promise you anything, but I'm not going to say it's not going to happen. Um, but maybe, I don't know. We'll see. So Weird Al has not put out an album in 6-7 years, and I guess I
Yep.
read he's done with albums. He's kind of doing songs. How do you feel about his Portugal the Man song? I'm not crazy about it. I have it on my
Mm.
phone.
I think it was nice to hear Weird Al do something I hadn't heard before.
Yeah,
Um and I think it's also nice to hear him do something that is uh slightly more mainstream and less weird, I guess.
yeah.
But it's another layer to him as a human. Is it my favorite thing to listen to? No, not necessarily. Like, do I love it because it's Weird Al? Yes. Uh, but again, he's a human with many different facets, and I appreciate the fact that he's, like, comfortable enough at a place in his career where he doesn't necessarily just have to go out there and be goofy to be taken, you know,
I'd like to hear
taken
him
advantage of.
collaborate. I mean, there's so much collaboration going on. That's basically all that music is these days, is collaborate. I don't remember last time I heard someone actually just singing their own thing. It's like, so I'd love to hear him do a song with Weezer. I think that would be great. I mean, there's
Well,
so many bands that I'd love to hear him do songs with.
Weezer, I don't know if it's on YouTube. They did the cover of Toto's Africa,
Right. Yeah. Oh, he is
and
in that. Yeah.
he's in the video.
Right.
But there's a version of it where they're performing it live in concert, and they're just playing it like regular old Weezer. And the next thing you know, Rivers Cuomo goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, Weird Al
Yeah,
Yankovic,"
I think
and
I
then
did
Weird
see
Al
that. I
comes
think
out with
that's
his
very exciting.
accordion. Oh, it's so cool.
Give me your top. Let's say I like to ask for Mount Rushmores. What's your Mount Rushmore of Weird Al songs? Your four favorite?
I mean, this is gonna change by the day. Um,
Oh, let's go with today.
well, we're gonna have to go with today because that's what it is, isn't it? Um, Everything You Know Is Wrong is always there. That's from 1996's Bad Hair Day. It's the track that comes right after Gangsta's Paradise. Again, Amish Paradise. Oh my god. Uh, and I like Everything You Know Is Wrong because it's so irreverent. It has a sick accordion solo, which gives me an opportunity to say the phrase sick accordion solo. Um, and it's funny, and it's basically an anthem for not taking yourself seriously, right? Excuse me. Uh second one for now would be off of Weird Al's self-titled debut album. It's called I'll Be Mellow When I'm Dead.
Okay.
I like that song basically for what it says. It's like, I don't care about your karma. I don't care about what's hip. No space cadet's going to tell me what to do. Like, I don't need to prove I'm cool. And it's all about like, I'm going to do what I want and you won't catch me sipping Perrier down in some sushi bar. You know, now's the time to go for all the gusto you can grab. You'll have plenty of time to be low key when you're laid out on the slab. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's cool. Dare to Be Stupid, again, the same vein, which is like, that's an almost perfect song. It's a better Devo song than Devo ever really did. And Dare to Be Stupid, by the way, is the song that a bouncer at the last Weird Al concert I went to told me to sit down during, because I was in the
Really?
front row. I was in the front row. He's playing Dare to Be Stupid. Other people are dancing. I'm 5'2", okay? It's not like I'm towering over everyone or anything.
Yeah.
I'm short. And this guy, he's just like, I'm like, really? 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 Whatever. And then I need a fourth one, right? Let's see. You know what? You know what I'm gonna go with? I'm gonna go with right now. The Night Santa Went Crazy. Because that is the first song that John and I talked about on our show. So it has a special place in my heart for that. Yeah.
I have Dare to Be Stupid. This Is the Life.
Oh, that's good.
One More Minute.
Uh-huh.
And the sports song.
Oh, you would have the sports song, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Those are my four favorite. And it's funny, like none of them are him recreating someone else's song, which is that just tells you how great he is.
Yeah, none of mine were either.
Yeah. I heard that for the first time when I saw him the last tour was the You Don't Love Me Anymore. Yeah, that was pretty. I was laughing. I don't know why I was laughing, but I was like,
"It's so good. It's so good.
It's pretty good." I want to talk to the beer part because I'm a huge craft beer guy.
Yes, please.
But does Weird Al Yankovic know that your podcast exists?
Yes.
Okay.
If you were to go to weirdal.com and go to the news page and you scroll down a little bit, there's a section about podcasts, and there are 4 Weird Al podcasts linked in that section, and ours is one of them.
Oh, that's awesome. Have you asked him to come on the podcast?
I am still riding the high from when he liked one of my tweets once. I don't want to be like, it's one of, I know we're still small-ish, and I want it to be like worth his while to do. And so,
of course it's worth this. Well, you got someone who you take your free time and you're talking about this guy's music. It'd be ridiculous if there's only 4 of them out there that he can't take an hour out of his, 4 hours out of his life to do it. But look,
I'm sure he could. He could.
You have to ask him. Here's the thing: you have to ask him. If you haven't asked him yet, I think you should ask him.
Oh no, I'll ask him. I have a plan for the coming year to ask some of his band members. I did ask the drummer because he put John Bermuda Schwartz. He did put a book out called Black and White and Weird All Over. It's a photography book from kind of the early days of Weird Al's career. And I had Nathan Rabin on the show who wrote The Weird Accordion to Al, and I had Lily Hirsch on the show who wrote the book Weird Al Seriously. All came out in 2020. And so then, this Black and White and Weird All Over came out, kind of put out by Weird Al's drummer. And I was like, well, I've had these other 2 on. These are the 3 big Weird Al books that came out in the year. Let me see if I can, get the trifecta. And he was like, thank you for reaching out to me. He goes, but I'm trying to get this in front of like people that aren't already in the Weird Al fan base. And I'm like, well, good luck with that, because who else is going to buy a picture book of Weird Al?
I'm going to buy it. My wife loves to draw. I will buy this coloring book when we get off the air.
Oh, yeah. We'll buy the coloring book.
Let her color it, and I'm just going to read it afterwards.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. It's great. And you said you had One More Minute on your list, right? And I think that might be in here because it's just all This Is the Life has a picture in this coloring book.
Yeah, there you go. I love it.
See?
Yeah, she's gonna have a good time drawing it, and then I'm gonna have a good time reading it afterwards.
Oh, the captions are super funny. Yeah, my Nathan Rabin and Felipe Sobrerio. He's Brazilian. I'm probably saying that wrong, but Nathan, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I got an advanced copy of it, which is kind of cool. Uh, I found a typo
Oh yeah.
that Weird Al didn't find. And so I reached out to Nathan Rabin and I was like, "Hey, is it too late to point out a typo?" And he's like, "No." And so I told him and he's like, "Wow, Al didn't even find that one." And Al's like the word crimes guy. And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, look at that." So in a roundabout way, I can say that Weird Al and I collaborated on this
Yeah,
book.
there
We
you
made
go.
it.
You helped.
We
I
made
read
it
a
happen.
I read a book from one of my guests. I had to read the book. That was one of the caveats for having her on the show. And I pointed out like 3 different typos in the book, and they appreciate
Oh.
that. Most people appreciate that. Some people are like,
It's helpful.
yeah,
I
of
mean,
course they want to see that. You mentioned that Weird Al liked your thing. My claim to fame on Twitter was I did a next Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day, and Michael Bolton liked and commented on my thing, and he's like, "What if I don't have a Hawaiian shirt or something?" So I took a screenshot, and I remember the first time I had a celebrity like my stuff, but it was a bot, and it looks just like it. So I sent this to my friend. I'm like, "Hey, look, this person likes my stuff." And then you click on them, and they're like 3 followers, and you're like, "Ah,
oh no.
they got me
Yeah.
again. They got me again." Um,
Curses.
well,
Foiled
look, I
again.
hope you get Weird Al on the show. I think it's a no-brainer, really. I can't imagine why he wouldn't want to do it. It should be fun for him, and
Yeah.
seems like something he would do. I don't know. Uh,
He might. He
yeah,
might. Like
he
I
might
said,
not.
I'm playing it cool. I'm playing
Yeah.
it cool. You know, I know people that have his phone number, and so
Okay.
like
That's pretty good.
I'm
I know
getting
people
there.
have his phone number too. I don't know who, but I know people who have his phone number. Well, let's talk about beer.
Yes, please.
The second part of it. Well, you're drinking beer now. 2 questions. Is that a Weird Al pint glass, which I assume it is?
It's a Beard Out podcast pint glass.
Oh,
Yes.
Weird Al podcast. Beautiful. I actually have one of the things I collect, which is a ton of things, and it was more back in the day than now, is pint glasses. And I
Mm.
probably have close to 200 pint glasses, all
Oh
different
wow.
kinds. It's kind of the thing I buy, but I also collect beer cans that I've started to collect some really cool ones, and I'm going to show you some of mine. What beer is that?
This is since my brother does the show with me, I decided to have a beer here to talk to you that would remind me of my brother. One of his favorite breweries is Dogfish Head,
Okay.
and this is the 90-minute Imperial IPA. You know, so they have 3 IPAs in the series. They have the 60-minute, the 90-minute, and the 120-minute. And the 90-minute is your Imperial. The 120-minute is like 12%. It's crazy. That'll knock you like right on your butt. But this is a 9% Imperial IPA. So like I said, this is not a weak little beer right here. This is a good solid beer. So yeah, Dogfish Head, they're out of Delaware, and my brother actually went to this brewery on his honeymoon with his
Oh wow.
wife. So I said, well, okay. It's good. They do good things, and this is a nice um I hate using the phrase unobtrusive when it comes to a double like an imperial IPA, but like it is. It goes down really easy for what it is. And even if you're not an IPA person, I don't think you'd hate this one because it's not like punching you in the face with all the hop. It's more like smoothie,
Yeah,
smooth booze.
I'll drink a Dogfish. I do not like IPAs. That it's my least favorite beer,
Mm.
and I don't know why. It
It's an
just
acquired taste.
yeah. I'm a sour guy. I used to be
Oh,
a Belgian, and now I'm a sour guy. I have some really wild sours, and I'll tell you about the place down here. But craft beer for me started, and I can't even remember if it was high school or college. I feel like we were underage because we drank a little bit of it when we maybe weren't supposed to. There was a beer called Long Shot. It was the winner of the Sam Adams homebrew contest. It
oh,
was a hazelnut lager, and to this day, it's the best beer I've ever had in my life. And I'm not sure that I'll ever have anything that I'm going to say is better than that. And I've had some really ridiculously good beers. I don't know what it was about this. If they don't make it anymore, Sam
Mm.
Adams did a small run because it won their competition, but it was called Long Shot, and it was a hazelnut lager, and it was just. I mean, I'm a big yeah, hazelnut. Brent knows, unless he just
Well,
said hazelnut because he thinks hazelnut is funny.
well, if you want something that's funny, if you can get up to Jacksonville into the distribution area of Engine 15 Brewing Company,
Okay.
um, they have a brown called Nutsack Brown.
Oh, there you go.
When you said that, like I remember that it's not necessarily hazelnut, but it will probably give you that like nutty maltiness that you probably got in that. I'm not saying it'll be exactly the same, but you know,
Yeah, Breckenridge has like a hazelnut Rogue. I think it was Rogue, maybe not Breckenridge,
hmm,
Rogue or Vanilla Porter. I mean, there's stuff that comes close to that, but it hasn't been. And I like Belgian beers. I actually got even more into craft beers. There's a company called Schmaltz Brewing, which does Hebrew beer.
mm-hmm.
And I, being Jewish, thought that was great. But I actually also reached out to them because I wanted to get into the craft beer business. And I interviewed for a job with them. I actually did a few marketing events at ABC's and Total Wine,
Okay.
and I was this close to working for Schmaltz and Hebrew Beer. I'm actually thankful I didn't. They don't make a whole lot of money, and it's I'm thankful for the road I took. But that was my introduction into craft beer, and then somehow I don't know why I think it was a Creek. When I was over in Europe and I had the Creek, very low alcohol but cherry
Yeah.
sour beer. That's what kind of got me into sours. And so I'm a big sour person. There's a place called Tripping Animals in Miami, which is a ridiculously good, some of the best, sours we ever had. They put milk sugar in it, which kind of cuts away from the high percentage of it. So you could drink an 8-9% beer and not even think you're drinking anything that's strong.
Yeah.
But what
Yeah.
else do you like aside from you know
I like all styles of beer. I got myself to a point where I can appreciate any style of beer for what it is. Sours were actually the last style that I got myself to like, but they have quickly become like my second favorite style to drink. Um, because being in Florida, like on a hot day, do you really want to drink a stout? Like
No, I don't want
no.
to get started anyway. That's the other stuff I don't like.
Yeah. I like a stout every once in a while. But yeah, IPAs and sours are my things right now. But if you like Belgians, have you had Tourist Trap from MIA in Miami?
I've been to MIA, but I don't know if I have.
Tourist Trap is a Belgian style triple ale that clocks in at 10%, but it does not taste like it, hence Tourist Trap.
Yeah,
It's so good.
dangerous,
It's dangerous, but it is
dangerous.
so good. You could probably get it at Publix.
So I got to go because I got one more thing here, but I'll show you while we're here. I want to show you some cans because
Okay.
I get drawn in by the cans. So for some of it, like I'll try your beer if you got a great can. So this was a can that Four Chord Music Festival did. They just
Oh,
bottled it.
that's neat.
And I know Riot Fest has done some of that thing where you put Riot Fest sucks. This is a can that the Savannah Bananas, a minor league baseball team, they created just for them. It's a banana beer, which was, the beer wasn't too bad. Here I was at the Field of Dreams baseball game, and the party before, this is can of corn. So it was actually brewed with corn from the field. And
Oh,
then
wild.
this is a shotgun start. It was a lemonade and iced tea ale, delicious. But if you look at it,
Oh, it's like
it's got Caddyshack and Happy Gilmore on it, which
oh,
is
because it's like an Arnold Palmer.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so this one here, I don't know if you ever heard of you.
I've had that.
It took me so long just to get this. I bought a whole case of it because it was so hard to get. Dewclaw makes some great beers. I was a little disappointed in this. It
Me
wasn't as
too.
fruity
Me
pebbles as it
too.
should be. It's supposed to, have that
Yeah.
flavor, and it didn't.
I
So
thought that one was more style over substance because it had glitter in it. Did you
yeah,
notice that?
and it didn't have enough glitter also.
No, I mean, and like, no, like if you don't see the glitter the next day, it didn't have enough glitter in
Yeah,
it, you know?
but it says, it's with fruity syrup. Like it didn't have enough fruit in it.
It
Like I
wasn't,
wanted to be
yeah.
fruity pebbles. I thought I'd be drinking fruity pebbles, like the
Yeah, it
milk,
wasn't enough.
but with
Hmm.
beer. This is one of my favorite beers of all time. It's called Serenity Now and Sanity Later. It's chocolate covered, cherry inspired sour ale with milk sugar, and
Ooh.
it is just ridiculous. It's brewed by Hidden Springs Ale Works. It's actually in Tampa, so I'm not
Oh.
too far. But man, I bought a case of this. It's one of my favorite beers of all time. And then these are two cans from Tripping Animals, which are they have just incredible sours. This is called Cuckoo Kanga Shake. It's a milkshake sour ale with cherry, apricot, coconut, hazelnut, chocolate, vanilla, and milk sugar. And
Mm.
then I'm just a little wabbit, sour ale with blueberry, blackberry, maple syrup, brown sugar, ice cream, vanilla, and milk sugar. So
Wow.
it's Tripping Animals. If you ever come down, actually might be able to. I was going to say I'm going to be in Jacksonville. I have some beers that I could bring to you if you can meet me at where I'm at in a couple weeks when
Yeah,
I'm up in
yeah.
Jacksonville. So
Well, yeah,
I
let
might
me
have a,
know.
I might have a couple of Tripping Animals that I can give to you because
I would love that.
I think you'll really enjoy it. Do you have a? I mean, I always try and go to breweries when I travel. Nashville has some really good ones, really some good ones in South Florida. Do you have a
Yeah.
place that you go to that you visit the breweries whenever you're out of town?
Whenever I'm out of town, well, I'm telling you, if you're going to be in Jacksonville at any point, Rev Brew, if you're a sour guy, Rev,
Right?
REVE is what it's called, and it's actually in uh Mayport, which is just outside the Jacksonville city limits towards the beach. Um but it's not far. I mean, Jacksonville's big, but if you're in the area and you're a sour beer
Just
guy,
come up on my way in.
Rev would be the place to go. Um, it's a very cool looking place, very like Alice in Wonderland down the rabbit hole type deal, but they do a lot of fun and creative sours. So, if that's your thing and you're coming into town, definitely go to Rev Brewing.
I will check it out.
Yeah, they're
Um,
fun.
what's a beer a brewery or beer place that you haven't been to? Is there like something on a bucket list that you'd like to travel for beer?
Well, I actually just checked one off of my bucket list this past summer.
Okay.
I grew up in Pennsylvania, but I didn't really get as like far into the craft beer scene as I am now until I moved down to Florida. Um, but one of my favorite beers, it sounds weird to say, but one of my favorite beers growing up, but like one of my favorite beers, from like when I could enjoy beer, um, was Mad Elf by Trogs Brewing. They're in Hershey,
I
Pennsylvania,
know
which is like
Trogs, yeah.
the Trogs.
I only ever heard
And
of that elf though.
well, this is I've got a case of it right behind me because it's like it's my holy grail of beers. Because that beer after once as soon as I turned 21, that beer was Christmas to me. Okay. It's brewed once a year. It is a what is it? It's a spicy Belgian ale with cherries.
Oh,
Okay. So you'd probably like it.
I would. I love
Um
cherry.
it's 11% and that's what I had every Christmas. I couldn't even tell you some Christmases how many of them I had because sometimes that's just how you get through Christmas dinner, right? But I had never been to Trogs Brewing in Hershey. And so I was driving up to visit over the summer because I hadn't seen family in a while. So I drove up with the dogs and stuff. And um, I said to my dad, I said, there's one thing and one thing only that I absolutely need to do, and that's go to Trogs. And we went to Trogs. I saw the brewery. I got a flight there. I did the whole thing. And so that was my bucket list. And I got my case of Mad Elf. So I'm all set.
Sounds like it didn't disappoint.
It didn't disappoint. It was so good. They had like a sour version of Mad Elf called the Wild Elf, which is like a
Oh.
wild Belgian ale. Oh, I still have one bottle of that with a cork in it that I'm saving for something.
How do you
I don't
get?
know.
Are they gonna sell that this year? Like
The Mad
Christmas
Elf?
time? Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna sell it around Christmas
Sour
time.
elf or no?
No, no, the Wild Elf comes out all year long, but they don't distribute foreign wine. So I would say if you're in Pennsylvania, get it.
Well,
Uh,
my wife is from Philly, and her sister actually goes to Hershey at least once or twice a year. So
Oh,
I
then she
forget.
yeah,
My
she could get it.
recommendation, which I've never been and I hear great things about, is Ommegang at
Mm,
the like Hooperstown because
I've
I
been
love
there.
their beer, but I hear they have excellent food too, and they got music there.
It's beautiful. It's, like,
Yeah.
built like an old Belgian farmhouse. I recommend going in the fall. Um, it's absolutely gorgeous. It's such a beautiful brewery tour to take too. They really walk you through it, and the tasting room is really nice, and yeah, it's just you couldn't plop a brewery into a more beautiful scenic setting than Ommegang.
We had two. I did two brewery tours that really stood out for me. One was a brewery called Lakefront Brewery in Milwaukee, and they just gave you it was really good beer. It was fun. They gave you a bunch of beer, for the $20 that it took for the tour. And the other one was at New Belgium, their
Oh,
tour, great
mhm.
tour. You take a nice tour and then you sit down and they give you a flight of their beer, and we did that before we went to the Colorado State football game, which also sells beer at this. Not
Yeah.
a lot of state back in the day. This was almost 10 years ago when not a lot of stadiums were selling beer, and they were selling beer
Nice.
at the stadium. But do you have a tour that you've been to that was just really stood out?
Um, uh, uh, yes, actually. And it's not like even one of my favorite breweries ever, but the tour was really, really cool. Yingling,
Yeah.
um, they're America's oldest brewery, and so I went to their main place in Pottsville, Pennsylvania, and the Yingling Brewery was actually built into the side of a mountain. So as they needed more space for, brewing equipment, they just excavated. So it just goes you're in a cave when you're in this brewery. And it was so wild, and I've never seen another brewery like it in my entire life. And then because it's a larger operation than, some of your more like microbrews that will often give you tours. Like you see the whole like the bottles like and all the
Yeah.
conveyor belts
I can
going
imagine.
by real quick and stuff. Um, but yeah, the fact that it was built into the side of a mountain, I think nothing is ever going to top that because like we need more space. Get the jackhammer, you
Yeah,
know.
starting rain. So Brent is a big supporter of the show. I think I have two friends, maybe three friends who just will not. They don't drink beer. Brent is one of them, and we actually got him to chug a beer at his bachelor party, which is a
Oh
very
boy.
funny scene. But he does not drink beer. He's a Stoli Raz and Sprite kind of guy, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with the Stoli Raz and Sprite. Um, but I do love my craft beer. I want to talk about podcasting. Obviously, this is what this whole came about. You guys doing podcasts. This is my
Yeah.
146th episode. How many episodes have you done? How often do you do it? What's next for the podcast?
Oh, yeah. So we put episodes out every Friday. Generally every other Friday is me and my brother with our regular episodes where we pair a beer with a craft we pair a craft beer with a Weird Al song. I was just going to say pair a beer with a craft Weird Al song, but strike that, reverse it, right? But yeah, we pair a craft beer with a Weird Al song and we just kind of go where the conversation takes us, much like what we were doing today. We're like, okay, we're drinking this beer and we're talking about this song and let's just do it. And we try to make connections somehow between the song and the beer. So like our very first episode when we talked about the night Santa went crazy, we each had Mad Elf because
Okay.
that beer makes sense for the song, right? But then every other Friday I have what I call my very special episodes where I have guests on to talk about a Weird Al topic of their choice. Sometimes we do like an album rundown. Sometimes people have very specific Weird Al topic that they'd like to go through. I have one coming out early in November where we are going to talk about misattributed Weird Al songs from like the Wild West days of like Napster and LimeWire when basically any comedy song was attributed to Weird Al when most of the time it wasn't actually Weird Al.
I was just talking about that with the guy. Like every time I see Teenage Dirtbag on my phone, it says Weezer on there, and that's from the LimeWire days when people they were
Mhm.
just uploading shit and it didn't even matter.
It didn't matter. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it. But this is a very good week for me to be talking to you actually because this Saturday, October 23rd, is Weird Al Yankovic's birthday.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And so I drop episodes every Friday, but this week I have one coming out Friday and
And
Saturday
Saturday.
to
Special.
celebrate Weird Al's birthday. And so this Friday, I've got Nathan Rabin on to talk about his coloring book and to talk about Weird Al's self-titled debut album. And then Saturday, I have a California musician, singer-songwriter by the name of Summer Woods, who is dropping an album of Weird Al cover songs
Oh, wow.
called Chihuahua Hat.
And when is this? This weekend?
Saturday. Yep.
What's her name?
Summer Woods.
Summer
Like
Woods. I'm gonna check that out too. I gotta
like
write
the
that
season
down.
in the forest. Yeah. She's on Twitter at Summer Woods Song. So hi Summer. You're probably not watching, but I'm talking about
Oh,
you. So
we're giving her a shout out. So I had when I saw the Jonas Brothers on Sunday, Kelsey Ballerini opened for the Jonas Brothers, but there was an opening band. It was Jordan McGraw, and he sang a song called McConaughey, which is actually coming out Friday. It's a really, really fun song. I think you might like it. But I was trying to look up. I'm like, yeah, let me look up this guy. Who is he? And so I look up Jordan McGraw, and I see it's Phil McGraw's son. I'm like, well, who the hell's Phil McGraw?
Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil. I didn't put two and two together. So this guy who opened up, he's got a great band, pop punk. Got a song called McConaughey coming out on Friday. Son of Dr. Phil.
Wow. What are you gonna do with your life?
Yeah. It's I think it probably is some kind of Weird Al Dr. Phil mashup in one of his shows, like a
Oh,
pop
that's
culture kind of
too
thing.
much.
I don't even
That's
know.
great.
I don't even know. So all right, so you got 2 episodes coming up. How many have you done overall?
Um, that's a really good question. I don't really know because I have.
It's right up here for me. I just got to go
Is
look
it?
right here. It just makes it easy. I always write episode 146 of the Wolff Den with.
Oh yeah. See, we have done 34 regular episodes, but I think we're
Okay.
in the 70s as far as like what we're
And what's the
at
future?
all together.
Does it keep going? Does it have to be the both of you? Are you going to have a live show? Have you done a live show with him in the same place?
We've recorded together a couple of episodes when I went up to visit over the summer, but you know, my brother doesn't have as much free time as I do because he has an almost 3-year-old child
Okay.
and a lovely wife and, job and things like that. Whereas I have a job, I have jobs, but I just have dogs. And so I can be like, okay, dogs,
Yeah, I'm going to
you know,
record for an
I'm
hour.
going to record for an hour now. It's,
Yeah.
who's going to stop me? Um, but yeah, I would not continue this show without my brother, because I think our best episodes are the ones. No offense to anybody who's ever been a guest on the Beard Dog podcast, but I think some of our best episodes are the ones where it's just me and my brother because you can't really top sibling banter, especially when it's siblings who really get along.
I
Like
got a twin brother. We thought we could do a show about nothing where we just stay on the phone for an hour and we haven't said one word of substance. And it's been a great conversation.
exactly. We both have the same, references, so we'll laugh at stuff and then like one of us will explain it to the audience like after, but most of the great feedback that we've gotten about the show has been the sibling relationship and rapport and how it's just kind of I think the word that is used most in our reviews has been delightful, which I find
Very
personally delightful. I was like,
sounds like
"Oh,
the SNL. Oh, that's
we
delightful.
are delightful.
Sweaty
Thank you."
balls.
Have you tasted my sweaty? Yeah. Um, but yeah, so I like doing I don't mind doing the guest episodes on my own. That's all well and good. And John's fine with it. He's like, yeah. He goes, this is your show. I'm just a co-host. He goes, you kind of go with it where you want it to go and things like that. But yeah, I would not do this without him. So if John one day said, screw you, I'm done with Beard Al, I was like, okay, then Beard Al is dead.
And you
But
might have to do something else. It
uh,
sounds like I could just have this conversation with you and to know that you can almost talk about a lot of different things that you would be good at it. That's just having the conversation like this and the passion If you have to have the passion for it, obviously, because you can't, you can do it, but people will be able to tell if you're not really that excited to talk about beer and or Weird Al. It's going to be obvious.
Oh, yeah, for sure, and I mean, that's why I started with the things that I love the most, and I will tell you what, podcasting has made me more comfortable talking with people that I don't know in,
Mhm.
like, other aspects of my life too, especially now that my entire work life is done on a computer like this. I've gotten really good at making other people feel at ease talking with me if they haven't talked to me before. Being comfortable with people that I haven't talked to before, and just overall being comfortable talking with new people and having conversations, because you do this long enough, you realize that everybody has something of value, to say, unless you're Hitler, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has something of value to say.
Well, that's why I say I never turned anyone down for the show, and I ask people to be on their show all the time, and they're like trying to figure out who's more important they should have on the show. I'm like, I have plenty of good stuff to say, to your audience that will be much better than what someone else who's going to come on for 10 minutes and give you their surface conversation that they've told 10 other shows and they're just saying the same shit. So I agree
Yeah,
with
it's
that. I think everybody's got something to say.
everybody does. Everybody absolutely does, which is why every once in a while, when I have a list of topics lined up that I want to have guests for, I'll just put it out on Twitter and let people grab them. And, the majority of the time it's other podcasters, which is great. But the episode that actually came out this past Friday, so the one that came out on the 15th, it was about the Weird Al album Alpocalypse.
Hmm.
And it was a 20-year-old Weird Al fan, and that was his first Weird Al album that he ever listened to, and he's like, "I would love to just talk to you about it."
Yeah.
And never, not a podcaster, nothing like that, just somebody,
Man.
a generation, younger than me,
Yeah.
that loves Weird Al, and I was like, "Yes, please come on. I value your perspective." It was one of the best conversations that I think I ever had, because that's not one of my favorite Weird Al albums, but this conversation that you could hear on this past episode gave me an appreciation for an album in, like, a whole new way, because I got to see it through different eyes that I wouldn't have seen before. So it was an appreciated perspective, and, like, a really beautiful perspective to have, and I wouldn't have that if I was like, "No, I'm sorry, you're only 20
Yeah.
years old, you're not important."
Yeah.
Like, everybody's important, which also means nobody is, but we're all
Right.
like
Yeah. Everybody has something that they can
everybody,
contribute,
yeah,
I think. And especially if they want to. It's not like, hey, let me bring you on. But like, look, you want to talk about something. You have something important to say. Let's
let's
talk
do
about it.
it.
I mean, I can count on one hand. I'm at 146 episodes. I can count on the number of one hand, the number of guests that I probably wouldn't have back. Just to be like, yeah, you know what? It wasn't really a great episode. I didn't think there was. So that's not a lot. A couple of things here. Brent says some of the beers you're describing sound good, but they're guessing they still taste like beer. It's actually not true. The beers that I drink, they kind of don't taste like beer. They almost taste like dessert or, these sours that have the milk sugar in it. It's not
Has he
really very beer like, I don't think.
has he ever had a framboise?
Yeah, I don't, he's too manly to drink anything called framboise.
Well, it's beer, but
I know,
it's
I know.
it's
I get
framboise.
it. Well, we're gonna let. I think I already know the answer to this, but we're gonna let you go on the same question we let everyone out of the Wolf Den with. And the
Okay.
question is: you have one person in the world that you could spend a day with, 24 hours. They have to be alive, and you can't be related to them. Yeah, don't take too long to think about this one. But who would you like to spend a day with, and what would you guys be doing?
Uh, I guess I kinda have to say Weird Al at this point, don't I? Yeah, so Weird Al, and what would we be doing? You know, honestly, I'd like to watch movies with him, because I think he'd have fun commentary
Oh
on
yeah.
movies.
What do you have
So,
a movie that you think would be fun to watch with him?
no, I think I would let him pick, because he'd probably surprise me,
Yeah.
and go with something that is completely unexpected that maybe I had never seen. So I would take his lead on the movie day. Um, and then I don't know if you've ever seen Weird Al on Hot Ones, where they eat the hot wings. and
Oh, I
stuff.
didn't know,
Oh,
but I know what you're talking about. It's good. Good episode.
it's super good, and I would then eat hot wings with him, and I think that would be a lovely day.
I, I'm in for it. We're gonna put. Brent says fishing with George W. He has been invited to be a guest, not George W. Brent on the show. He doesn't realize if you're not a guest on the show, you don't get to choose who you might want to spend the day with. He hasn't figured that out yet. But we have a list going. We're going to do some outreach. You might actually be able to make it happen for yourself before I can make it happen, but we're certainly going to try. It's the first time Weird Al's been said, and it's a great choice whether you have a Weird Al podcast or not. I just can't imagine having a bad time hanging out with Weird Al Yankovic.
I think he'd just be a delightful human. Like, he is a delightful human. I met him once at a VIP event, and he was so nice to me. I was so here. I'm gonna pull this up. I know we're about ready to go here, but
Oh, see, there you go.
see, um, he was so nice to me because I was so overwhelmed by meeting him that I kind of gave him like a,
Yeah.
and then he looked at me and he goes, "Are you okay?" He asked if I was okay.
Yeah.
And he was just so nice, and like he didn't like stand apart from me in the picture. Like, we got together. He I had a big like piece of sheet music for him to sign, and he's like, "Get me the big Sharpie." And he signed it like nice and
Oh,
real
wow.
big and stuff. He was so cool. I kind of blacked out afterwards. I
Yeah.
don't remember how I got home. Thankfully, my friend Jonathan drove. 'Cause it was like, I just met Weird Al.
Well,
That's it.
he's on the list. Have you seen him on To Tell the Truth? He does a very good job on that show.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
does. He does.
he
He
does.
does a good job with
He does a
everything
good
he
job on
does.
everything. That's fair. Probably fair to say. Beard Owl Podcast. Check it out. Twitter, Instagram, beardowlpodcast.com. Every Friday this week, we got a special episode for Weird Al's birthday on Saturday. And I look forward to hearing more and what you come up with, and hopefully hearing Weird Al on your podcast, or maybe us getting you with a day with Weird Al, something like that. And I'll talk to you about bringing you up some pretty cool beers when I'm in Jacksonville next
Sweet.
weekend. But check it out. We got great episodes the rest of the week. Hope everyone has a great night, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.